Okay, so next we're gonna take a look at observability and see how we're gonna build a Kickass observability with Grafana LGTM. I will let Dan explain this acronym. And Dan is an engineering manager at Grafana looking after Loki, cloud logs, and enterprise logs. Throughout his career, he specialized in building large-scale distributed systems. Some products which he helped build, and you might have heard of, are Skype, Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Dynamics, and Omio. Dan will show us how to build Kickass observability with Grafana LGTM, providing a walkthrough on how to use metrics, logs, and traces, together with other Grafana products. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you. How does this song make you feel? It's a bit sad, right? But this is not just a song. It's how business feels when it loses its customers. Hello, everyone. Thank you for staying so late in the afternoon. Long day, right? Long day. Thanks for bearing. So that's me. Some of the products which I helped build. You might have heard of some like Skype and Omio, the travel companion. But the reason I've put them in here is that they all share one thing. They've got tens of millions of users per month, active ones. So that translates to thousands of requests per second and a lot of big data challenges. So my passion has always been building large-scale distributed systems. And that's what I'm doing today at Grafana. Well, if you ask my family, my passion is fixing printers. So they still call me up for that. Surprisingly, I know how to fix some of them, but that's a bit concerning. Today, we're going to see how to build a Kickass observability platform with Grafana LGTM stack. But hey, first I'd like to get to know the chance to know you a little bit better. So if you can help me out, how many of you heard about Grafana? Raise your hands. Oh, well, my job here is done. I'll see you next. How many of you are actively using Grafana? All right, bunch of people. And how many of you heard about the LGTM stack? All right, that's why I'm here. In case you've never seen a Grafana dashboard, this is how it looks like. I'm going to refer throughout the presentation to Grafana dashboard. And this is what I mean. This is like a really simple dashboard which you can have in Grafana. It measures the 4 golden signals. You've got latency, number of requests, error rate, and saturation for a service. So I'm basically monitoring one service, and I have all these metrics on a time series graph. But before we go into a little bit of theory and an interactive demo, why is observability important? And I have a story to share with you, which is a real story. Back in the days when I was working at Omio, the travel companion, we launched this new product. It was amazing. You could book routes which were never bookable online before. Really unique routes for those times when you go on your vacation trips and you want to travel from one village to one city, like very, very unique. So what happened? Everything was great, but then we introduced a bug. And it was a time zone related bug. Something with summertime, wintertime, you can imagine probably the continuation of the story. But what happened is that we sold hundreds of tickets at a different departure time. So imagine you go on your app, you're on vacation, you look for a trip, you find the bus at 11 a.m., you go in the bus stop. Where's my bus? It already departed at 10 a.m. But you don't know, so what do? Maybe you're in the wrong bus stop. You gotta call customer support. Maybe you're missing that flight because you have a connection flight, right? Which happened to a lot of those people, actually. To make it even worse, one of our investors tried to book a trip to his ski vacation. Because he invested, he wanted to show his friends this cool app, So they all booked and missed their ski trip. So really, what happens when something like this happens to you? And I hope nobody was that in situation. And if you were, I'm sorry. But what do you think? Scam, right? Fraud. Never go back again, never buy again, never refer to anybody. So for the business itself, it means losing your customers, losing trust, losing your business. What could have we done better? Better testing. Obviously, you can catch that bug in a unit test probably, right? But with this fast-pacing environment, especially in the travel industry, you gotta be fast, you gotta go ahead. Otherwise, your competitors will win. So you don't have time to do, everything which you like to do, the perfect testing. So then you need to find a way to actually fail, but in a controlled way, right? You got to be able to deploy new changes, but get quick feedback on how those changes react in your production environments. So in our case, we know who hops on the bus, right? Because we gave drivers an application, they scanned the passenger's QR code. So with the first bus, we could have known that something is wrong. What we did is that we waited around 24 hours. A family of 4 people called customer support and they said, hey, we're waiting for 8 hours in the stop. That's for real, like somebody waited 8 hours in the stop, so you don't know how people react to this kind of situation. So again, why is observability important? It can save your business. So you gotta be proactive about failures. You gotta measure, monitor your system. You can also understand historical trends with metrics. For example, you can see how your latency goes up, down, right? Maybe here you deploy a new change of your service, latency may go up. But then when you look back at the metrics, you see that something was wrong here. So then you do a rollback, make a fix, and try again. The third one is that you spend much less time troubleshooting. Because incidents usually begin with an unexpected metric change. So that's the first place where you would like to start your investigation. Now, what's the LGTM stack? Well, at Grafana, we like to call it the looks good to me stack. Because we want people to check their dashboards and see that everything is fine. No incidents are happening, right? But on a more serious note, this stands for logs, graphs, traces, and metrics. And these are the 3 pillars of observability: metrics, logs, and traces. Grafana has 3 time series databases where you can store this information, specially made for this. We've got Mimir for metrics, Loki for logs, and Tempo for traces. Now let's talk about them one by one. What are metrics? Metrics offer you an aggregated view of your system. So you can see that something is happening. The latency example from before, right? You have an aggregated view of your latency. Something is happening at some point in time. And have you seen this in code ever? This is actually one of my websites. I have a create user endpoint over there. I'm running some code, and then I'm incrementing one metric. Then I export it to Mimir, and then in Grafana, I'm charting it out so I can see it on a graph. Here I have a counter metric, but you can have different types of metrics, like value metrics, histogramatics, etc. Now you might ask yourself, hey Dan, do I need to go and change my code to start adding metrics all over the place? And the answer is yes and no. If you want to add really custom metrics, then you have to go and change your code. But some of the apps which you already use and know and love, they already expose Prometheus metrics, and it's all integrated with Grafana. I'm going to show you how to do that in a bit in the demo. You can also get metrics out of logs with Loki. That's even better, because logs, everybody has logs, right? All the applications output logs. Logs usually tell you what's happening, so you can drill down in each of the components and see where the problem is. You've probably seen this in code. Uh-oh, something went sideways, right? Here I'm logging an error message with some information on top of that. Or I have a bunch of debug lines. You know, engineers like to add this one so you're able to go and see what's happening in your system. But many times we actually disable these debug lines in the production, right? Because there are like so many logs generated. With Loki, we actually don't, because we can see we can handle all the debug logs as well. So then it's actually quite a useful thing to have. I told you that you can get metrics out of logs. And this is just an example of a dashboard built solely on logs, so you don't need metrics to start with. So it's pretty advanced, and this is just the top of a screenshot here. It's again a European website, so you can see the traffic going up and down, day and night. Right, you've got a bunch of KPIs on the top, total requests, how often the Google bot is accessing my website, etc. The third pillar, traces. Traces show you where that something is happening. With traces, you can see the whole life cycle of your request flowing through your system. So you can see each step, how long it takes, and what's happening in there. And in code, it usually looks like this. So you start the timer, you execute the code, you stop the timer, and then you log that, hey, this operation took this amount of milliseconds. This is how you can visualize traces in Grafana, just to give you some idea of what I'm talking about. So you can see I have, you know, a request flowing through different components here, and then you can see how long each of the component takes to handle that request. Back to the three pillars of observability. We've got Mimir, Loki, and Tempo. And if there are any Harry Potter fans in the audience, these are really the Deathly Hallows of observability. And with Grafana on top, one can be the master of observability. So now we have a demo, and I would actually need your help. If you take your phones out, you can access the website. It's a do-it-together demo. So go to this website, tinyurl.com, if you want to help out, and /shop-demo. Agua. Water. Somebody laughed, he knows the Cristiano Ronaldo. Good stuff. Well, let me see, because I have a fallback for my live demo, as most of the times my demos fail. Let's see if this works first. Nope. If you see this video, it means that my live demo has failed. All right, so that works. Whew. That's a good start. Cool, so if you access this website, it's pretty much this. So I've put up an e-commerce shop where you can add products to your cart and then proceed to a checkout, and then you can process your order. If you want to buy something, don't put your real credit card in. This is a demo, right? I don't want to have well, I would like to have access to that, but so it's the website. You can start playing around with it. And here I have my Grafana dashboard for this website. I see a bunch of you already started to run some requests, right? Because I can see the throughput of the service going up. Here on the top, I have my SLO section. So I can see that I have 5 minutes of downtime SLO per month, 500 of payment failures, etc. Here I have my application architecture. I'm deploying this on Kubernetes, and it's a microservices deployment. So you can see that I have a web gateway, API gateway, product card, checkout, blah, 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 and it's all connected to a Postgres database on the backend. On the right here, I have a bunch of metrics. So I'm actually scraping my website, sending everything to Mimir, Loki, and Tempo, all the metrics, logs, and traces, and charting them out on Grafana. So you can see I have a service throughput, error rate by service, and service latency. I'm cheating a little bit because I'm generating some load with Grafana K6 on the background in case nobody here wanted to help me out to just populate these metrics, right? So you can see we had some previous traffic until you started to join. Hey, let's click on one of these. This is the product service. And hey, I got most of this stuff for free. It's what I was telling you before. This is a Kubernetes integration. So I get a lot of metrics out of the box, like CPU and memory, whole bunch of network statistics, etc. Here on the top, I can see the status of my pod. It's online, it's fine. Service latency, it all looks good. Service throughput started to rise because you guys started to join. I can also see the logs of my service over here. I promised I'm going to show you what Grafana integrations mean. So all these applications, they are already integratable with Grafana. In my case, I've used the Kubernetes monitoring app, this one. But you can pretty much find a whole bunch of stuff. So say, for example, you want to monitor your MySQL database. You type here. It's so easy. You click this button. You follow the steps. And boom, you get dashboards and metrics for free out of the box. Now, let's go to our main dashboard here. So let's try to create some problem for our website. So let me see what we've got in here. I'm using Windows, too many connections bug. Let's run this. With this, I'm basically generating more connections to my Postgres database than it can handle. So let's see what's going to happen here. If you go on the website right now, probably you will try to reload it, and already my products are not loading because I cannot reach the products database to get the details out of that. So let's go back to our services overview dashboard. And hey, look at that. 2 of my services are red. So let's go and see what the problem is. Going to click on product. I can see that the pod is online. Service latency is fine. Oh, it's going up. Look at that. Let's check the last 5 minutes here. Service latency is going up. Now it's about 1 second. Service throughput is going down because you are not able to connect to the database anymore. And I have a bunch of logs. And hey, look at that. There are some errors here. So I'll go here and let's go to the trace of this request. And let's go to the trace of this request. And let's go to I have a small screen here, so that's a problem. And there we go. I can see that this request took about 2 seconds to complete, right? I can also see this node graph telling me how the request flew through the system. I see the red thing here on this span on the product. So let's go to the events, and I can see the exception over here, connection refused to products data. All right, so let's go to the products data now. Let's click on that. This is my Postgres integration. So again, I got this thing for free with the Postgres integration. I can see that the CPU went a little bit up and then it's going down. It looks quite all right, but hey, look at that. I have too many clients already. This is the error. It's a fatal exception. So now I know what's going on, right? My Postgres database is slowly dying. I cannot make more connections. So I need to either close down some of those clients or maybe try to give more resources to the Postgres database so I can scale it up. So now I know what's going on. Let's go back to the service overview. I've set this script to actually heal itself in 5 minutes. So it's still happening, but in the interest of time, I promise you, I hope this is going to be green again in a few minutes. In the interest of time, let's go back to the slides. Now you know what's the next slide. So you might ask yourself, Dan, do I always need to keep an eye on dashboards to look out for errors? I stay 24 hours watching the screen, looking for something red? And the answer is no, you don't. And this is where the Grafana incident response and management kicks in. We got 3 different products: Grafana Alerting, OnCall, and Incident. And this can help you out to automate, yourself not watching the screen all the time. With Grafana Alerting, you can actually set thresholds on different metrics. So you can say something like, hey, if the error rates go up more than 5% in the last 5 minutes, then notify me somehow. Send me a notification on Slack, or just fire some alert somewhere. You can connect alerts with OnCall, and OnCall is really made for the DevOps teams. With OnCall, you can have one single place where you can define your teams, define schedules, escalation policies. It will know everything and which severity is more critical than the other, and how to notify you. So for example, for a critical severity from service A, Grafana OnCall will notify somebody from team A, so they will, Grafana OnCall will wake you up in the middle of the night, right? So, hello, this is Grafana OnCall. You have a problem in your service, go and fix it, wake up and go and fix it, right? So you close your phone. I have a really old phone here, I need to change it. But you close your phone and you wake up and go and fix the problem. Now, Grafana Incident offers you one single point of truth for everything what's happening with the incident. So we all know whenever there's a problem, your manager asks you about it, your colleagues ask you about it, the CEO asks, right? The partners ask, the investors ask, the customers ask. So your head is so overloaded, you don't even have time to focus on the most important thing, which is actually fixing the problem. And Grafana Incident helps you with that. You can organize tasks, assign roles, and have one single point of information for everything. You can connect it, for example, with Google Meet. It automatically generates a meeting for you. You can connect it with status page so that your customers are automatically notified that there is some problem, but that you know about it, you're working on it, they don't have to call you, right? Now let's see that in action. Back to our services overview dashboard. Look at that, everything is green now. Error started to fall down and latency is going down. So that's great. Let's generate a new problem now. I have my cheat sheet of commands here, which I'll just copy and paste. So let's say I'm introducing a new version of my payment service and it has a bug. Once in a while, it throws an error whenever it connects to the payment provider. So let's see how that acts out. Probably now, like some of you, if you try to do a checkout, some of your requests on your phone will fail. You won't be able to buy anything. And now what I did in Grafana Alerting is that I set up an alert which is called service error by error rate service. Too many services in there. What is this? It basically notifies me whenever is something wrong. So this is going to send me a notification on Slack in a bit once it will start fire. If you can help me out to generate some of payment failures, that will help. But let's hope some payment failures are going to come in soon. While we wait for the notification, I cheated a little bit again because I haven't set up Grafana OnCall to call me on the phone for this demo. So Grafana Alerting is connected to Slack, and I'll get a notification in my Slack channel over here. Oh, there we go, it's pending, so somebody failed to buy something. Thank you, Andre. And we should see soon a notification in Slack over here. Let's go back to our main dashboard. There we go, our payment service is already red. We're waiting for that Slack notification now. Which is not coming, apparently, because it's a live demo. No, I'm joking, it takes a little bit to evaluate. Let's see if the alert is firing. See, it's already firing, so I should see that notification soon. Again, in the interest of time, I'm telling you that this is going to pop up on Slack, but it looks something like this. Basically, I will get a notification saying that the service error rate is higher than expected. So what I will do, I will click on it. It takes me to the service overview dashboard again. And here I am. Let's start investigating the problem. So I can see that this one is red. Let's go ahead and declare an incident. Declare incident. Payment service red. I don't know yet what's going on. Severity sounds pretty major. My customers are not able to buy anything. Add labels, yes. Customers affected, yes, yes, yes. Yes, we have. So this is going to create automatically a Slack channel for me. I think I stopped the Slack notifications, that's why it's not notifying. So there we go. I got automatically added in a Slack channel, and this is the place where I will start. Let's go back here. I would assign myself as an investigator. So that's me. And let's say I need some help with communication so that I can focus on actually the investigation part. I'm going to assign a commander. We're going to pick Alex, who's my friend and also working with Grafana. Not sure if he's in some customer call right now, but let's try out. And we can see that Alex was automatically added to the Slack channel. So I'm going to type something to him. Hey, Alex, we're at Big Data Week here. Something is wrong with the payment service. You are the commander in charge. By the way, everyone is watching you. All right, I typed that to Alex. He knows what's going on. So now I'm starting the investigation. Starting to investigate. Payment service is red. So I add this comment here, and you can see now I have a nice timeline which you can use in those post-mortem documents to see how long it took to mitigate the problem. And now we're going to go back and start investigating. So payment service red again. I can actually click here on payment. I can see the error rates going up here again. But I can see that not all the requests are failing, because here I have like about 1 request per second, and here it's a little bit less, 0.2. So I already know one thing from these charts. Let's go back to the incident and say it seems that only about 20% of requests are failing. Cool, I added this here, and Alex got notified as well. Everything is happening in this Slack channel. Let's go back and see what the problem is. So let's click on the payment service. It's again my service detail dashboard. It's online. The service latency looks fine. Let's check again the last 5 minutes. It's fine. The throughput is going a little bit down because I'm not being able to take all those requests. But hey, look at that again. A bunch of errors over here. So I can go a little bit down, and you can correlate this with the new deployment that I made, because you see like a payment pod went up. So I can say for sure that, hey, this seems to be related to what I deployed before, right? So I'll go back to my incident over here and say, I just deployed a new version of my app, but it seems it has a bug. Thank you, Grammarly, for keeping me honest in English here. That's not a Grammarly ad. I just like it as a product. All right. So, well, now I know I should probably roll back, right? There's something wrong in the payment service, so I should do that. Let's try to reapply the previous version. And again, everything should be fine. Let's wait for this to be green. But in the meantime, I actually have an incidents channel. Like I can see what the Grafana incident notified me about this new incident. So think of this as a common channel for your company, right? Where everybody can see what incidents are going around throughout the company. Here I can see that this is major, it's an active incident, I'm the investigator, and a whole bunch of other information in here, together with the Slack channel where people can join and follow the conversation. Again, in the interest of time, this is going to be green again, so I'll go back to the incident and say I deployed the previous version. Everything is green now. There we go. Now I have a nice timeline, and I can go ahead and resolve this incident. Let's put a comment here. I deployed a buggy version. Please don't fire me. All right, I won't put that. Oh, I go ahead and resolve the incident. And back to the Slack channel, I can see everything is fine now. I'm here. We got a response from Alex. No pressure. All right. You can do actually everything I did in the UI. You can do it with a Slack bot, or incident. You can run a whole bunch of these commands. So you actually don't need to go to the UI all the time to change the screen, right? You can do everything from Slack and follow the conversation in there. Let's see if our service healed itself in the meantime. No, but I can already see the error rate for the payment service going down. So this should be green in about 10 seconds or so. I can also see that the latency looks the same. And there we go. We're back to green. Back to the slides. So the next question you might have is, hey, Dan, does this scale? Because we just used a simple website, right, which is just a handful of people in here. Can Mimir and Loki and Tompo scale? And the answer is hell yeah. We've tested Mimir with 1 billion active series. So that translates to about 50 million samples per second. That's really huge. It was a very expensive test. We didn't reach the limit, actually. We don't know if that's the limit, because you can scale it horizontally as much as you want. But this was a very expensive test. You can imagine how many nodes we run. CPU, memory, you have to pay for those. So we just did it one time. With Loki, we didn't do it because of the same reasons, costs. But one of our production clusters looks like this. We're ingesting around 1 to 2 petabytes per month. So that's around 2 million messages per second, only in one Loki cell. Tempo, the same. How can you use it? That's the next question. So actually, there are 3 ways of using Grafana products. Well, actually 2, but I'll talk about the third one as well here. So the first one is, the beauty of Grafana is that all the products are open source. So you can use them for free. You can go and download the binaries, install them, right? You can have an on-premise configuration. Maybe you have your cloud environment already set up. These applications are really cloud native. So we go cloud first, but basically you can deploy them anywhere. VMs, Kubernetes, doesn't matter. It's always free. But what we've seen is that with companies that are growing, at some point you need an observability team to be able to administer and maintain the platform. The second one is Grafana Cloud, and it's what I showed you before. Everything in there was my account in Grafana Cloud. It's hosted and managed by Grafana. And that's the nice thing of it, because it leaves you focused on your own business, right? You externalize observability to a team who does observability, and then you can focus on your main business. It offers free and paid plans, but it's not that you have a trial with a free plan. It's actually pretty good. It's free forever, and not sure if you can. It's very, very small. Don't look at that. But you get 3 active users for Grafana. You get 50 gigabytes of logs per month, 10K of metrics, 10K, 50 gigabytes of traces. So it's pretty good, right? And once you grow more, you can actually go to a paying subscription. The next one is enterprise versions. These are, again, self-hosted, self-managed. You got to get the binaries, install them on premise. But this is really made for those companies who have, data requirements around localization and privacy. So pretty much banks, governments, etc. You probably don't need that. One thing which I forgot to mention is that if you choose the open source, you can actually deploy all these products, all these 3 products in different ways. You get the single binary, which I don't recommend, unless you have a pet project which you would like to try things out. You get the mini services. We call it SSD. Bad name. It's not a solid state drive, but it's a simple scalable deployment. And you get the microservices. Again, we are big on Helm nowadays, so you can install all these ones with ease. We are focused on ease of use. I don't recommend microservices either, because you probably don't need them unless you have the 1 billion active series. So you are pretty good with the mini services. We just deploy like a read path and a write path, and you're good to go. We're getting close to an end here, and really the message which I want to leave with you today is that happy users keep your business happy. So start monitoring and have your business feel more like this. Thank you everybody for listening. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Dan.
Oh, we do questions.
Yeah, maybe. Do we have any questions?
I've got one from Andre there.
My colleague will help you.
Maybe. How did you generate the... thanks. Okay. How did you generate that application graph? Like the interdependency between applications that would show you something?
Oh, that's a draw.io diagram.
Okay.
It's yeah, so you can actually integrate it in the dashboards. I can show it to you.
Whoa, that's super awesome. It really looks nice, and it's nice that it gives you like
Nice.
Info if something is down. Yeah,
Thanks.
That was, and is it integrated like, so each block of the diagram is integrated with, let's say, the logs with low key,
Yeah.
or with
Yep.
tempo, or and you just click and it goes to the dashboard.
Yeah, you click and you go to the dashboard basically.
That's super awesome.
Nice.
That was my question.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
I forgot to show you one thing, but if you want to stay, if you want to hang out for one more minute. Ah, nice. I wanted to show you how you can get metrics out of logs, right? Because I promised I will, but I didn't. So let's see here. If I go to explore, it's actually quite easy to follow. I would go to my logs data source over here. And let's say I want to see the logs from my e-commerce application. I run the query and I get a whole bunch of logs, right? Let's say I want to see the logs from my API gateway, because I can imagine I will log post request and get request and whatnot. So I can see that the messages look like this. I have a few like post messages in the logs. I can also see some status codes. So maybe I'll go ahead and find everything which contains a status code 200. So I'm going to log format this. I'm using LogQL because I'm not really used to the query builder, but that tool which we see in this story is actually new and quite cool because you don't need to learn the actual language, right? So let's see. So let's see all the requests which end up with a successful status code. There we go. We have a whole bunch of those ones. I'm already getting the histogram, so you can already see it on a chart, right? But say I'm now going to use a metric query. So I would say count over time of this. And let's see here. Getting some, oh, I forgot to add the status here. So some, that's why you should use the query builder. So not care about all these parentheses. So let's see that. Now you can see all the status codes, which are 200, right, on a graph. And this is the last 1 hour. I can change it to whatever. Last 3 hours. We've generated a bunch of traffic over here. You've got a lot of successful responses, right? But I can now delete the status code, and I should see all the status codes. So there we go. We had some 200s, some 400s, some 404s. Somebody tried to access during the demo some link which doesn't exist, probably. And now I can play around with it. So I can either say status or method. So now we'll see delete requests, get requests, post requests over time. So it's so easy to get something out of logs, right? Everybody has logs. Now I can put these ones on a chart and create some alerts upon them. And that's it. Thank you very much for staying a little bit longer.